What is good? All that heightens the feeling of power, the will to power, power itself in man. Friedrich Nietzsche.
Have you ever wondered why this happens? Why people who demand honesty in their personal lives suddenly applaud leaders they know to be dishonest? Why the display of strength so often attracts us more than integrity? Think of that charismatic mayor who embezzles funds but builds a showy bridge and is re-elected by a landslide. Think of the ruthless CEO who crushes competitors with unethical tactics but is celebrated as a visionary on magazine covers. This is not an accident. It's not an error in judgment. It's a choice. Researchers from Harvard and the University of Chicago found that in many regions, up to 40% of voters knowingly support a politician they know has a history of corruption. Their justification? He may break the rules, but at least he gets things done. That justification, that preference for strength over virtue, is the key, and it reveals a dark truth about human nature. A truth not found in newspaper headlines, but in the writings of a philosopher who dared to gaze into the abyss of our psychology over a century ago. Today, we will understand why we worship corrupt leaders, and the answer has nothing to do with politics. It has to do with power, revenge, and the most primitive needs of our soul.
Friedrich Nietzsche made one of the most radical observations about humankind. Our primary drive is not the pursuit of happiness, pleasure, or even survival. It's what he called the will to power. But don't misunderstand, power, for Nietzsche, isn't simply dominating others. It's the fundamental need to exert control over one's own existence, to impose our will upon chaos, to feel that we can shape our environment and our destiny. It is the feeling of expansion, of overcoming, of growth. When we feel we have control over our lives, in our careers, in our relationships, we feel this will to power satisfied. But what happens when we lose that control? When we feel powerless, small, adrift in a world we don't understand and cannot influence, our will to power starves. And it is in that moment that we become vulnerable. Then, a leader emerges who seems to be the very embodiment of control. He doesn't hesitate. He has no doubts. He breaks the rules that bind us. He acts with a certainty we lack. He exudes power. And here is the psychological secret. By aligning ourselves with him, we feel a vicarious power. It's not us who are in control, but he is, and he is one of us. His strength becomes our strength. His victory is our victory. It's the same mechanism as a fanatical sports fan. He didn't score the goal, but he yells, "We won." The leader's corruption becomes an irrelevant detail, perhaps even proof of his strength. He is so powerful that he is above the law, above the common morality that applies to us mortals. Psychologist Jennifer Whitson demonstrated in 2008 that people deprived of control are much more likely to see patterns where none exist and to endorse conspiracy theories. Likewise, they gravitate toward leaders who project absolute certainty. We are not choosing an administrator, we are choosing an avatar for our own frustrated will to power. Think about it. When was the last time you admired someone for getting results, even knowing their methods were questionable? In that moment, you weren't judging their morality. You were quenching a deep thirst for control.
Nietzsche argued that throughout history, two fundamentally opposed moralities have been fighting for control of the human soul. The first is slave morality. Born among the oppressed, the weak, the powerless, it values everything that alleviates suffering: compassion, humility, patience, equality. In this worldview, the powerful and dominating are evil, while the humble and meek are good. This is the morality that dominates our religions and our public discourse. Publicly, we all champion slave morality. We praise kindness, we condemn arrogance, we say that everyone is equal. But beneath this surface, the other morality pulses. Master morality. The morality of the aristocracy, of warriors, of nobles. For the master, good is everything that affirms life and the will to power. Strength, courage, ambition, excellence, dominance. Bad is everything that is weak, fearful, petty, common. And here is our great hypocrisy. We condemn exploitation from Monday to Friday, but on the weekend we binge-watch series about ruthless billionaires and find ourselves secretly thrilled by their cunning. We say we want ethical and thoughtful leaders, but our eyes light up for the candidate who talks tough, bangs on the table, and promises to crush his enemies. The corrupt but strong leader is the public manifestation of the master morality we secretly admire. He doesn't apologize, he doesn't bow to conventions, he defines what is good based on his own strength. When his supporters say, "At least he's strong," they aren't making a logical error. They are revealing which values, deep down, they truly prioritize when they feel threatened. A 2019 study in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology confirmed this contradiction. Participants who claimed to value equality still rated dominant, power-seeking individuals as more charismatic and effective leaders. Doesn't this duality live inside you? The part that wants a just and gentle world, and the part that in moments of crisis yearns for a leader who will simply solve the problem, no matter the cost. The corrupt leader thrives on this contradiction within us.
Perhaps Nietzsche's most powerful concept for understanding our era is ressentiment. It's a French word that means more than simple resentment. It is a psychological poison, a condition born from continuous powerlessness. It's a mixture of envy, suppressed rage, and a desire for revenge that cannot be expressed directly. It is the feeling of someone who has been wronged but is too weak to fight back. So this feeling rots inside. Man would rather will nothingness than not will at all, Nietzsche wrote. In simple terms, human beings prefer active destruction to feeling completely powerless. Now, imagine a community that feels forgotten, ignored by cultural elites, abandoned by the global economy. They watch others prosper while they decline. Ressentiment grows. And then a leader arrives who does something no one else has done. He points to the same enemies that this community hates. He doesn't offer complex policies, he offers revenge. He promises to punish the elites, humiliate the experts, destroy the institutions that made them feel small. This leader becomes the vehicle for all the accumulated ressentiment. His corruption? Irrelevant. His attacks on democracy? A bonus. Every norm he breaks is a victory for those who felt trapped by the norms. Every enemy he attacks is a catharsis for the repressed anger of his followers. Political scientist Catherine Kramer, in her fieldwork, revealed exactly this. Voters in rural communities supported policies that objectively went against their economic interests, simply because those policies punished the urban elites they blamed for their situation. The emotional payoff of seeing the enemy suffer was greater than the material loss. We are not talking about political calculation. We are talking about visceral, tribal psychology. The corrupt leader isn't elected to build. He is elected to burn down what exists. And for those full of ressentiment, the fire is beautiful.
We are tribal creatures. Our evolutionary survival depended on group cohesion. Nietzsche called this deep need for consensus and belonging the herd instinct. This instinct is powerful. The fear of being excluded from our group, from our tribe, is often greater than our commitment to abstract truth or ethics. The corrupt populist leader is a master at exploiting this. He positions himself not as an individual, but as the voice of the herd. "I am you," he says. From that moment on, any attack on him becomes an attack on the tribe. To question him is to betray the group. To defend the truth against the leader's narrative is to become an outcast.
The social cost becomes too high. But there is another, even deeper layer. Nietzsche wrote, "Freedom is the will to be responsible for ourselves." True freedom is a heavy burden. The responsibility of making complex decisions, moral, financial, political, in an uncertain world is exhausting. And secretly, we often wish someone would just tell us what to do. The psychologist Erich Fromm called this the escape from freedom. The authoritarian and corrupt leader offers this escape. Amid the complexity of the modern world, he emerges and says, "It's simple. The enemies are them. The solution is me. Leave it all to me." This promise is an immense psychological relief. It's permission to stop thinking, to stop worrying. His corruption is the small price to pay for the peace of mind of not having to carry the weight of responsibility. He offers us freedom from freedom.
So, are we doomed to this dark cycle, destined to follow demagogues who exploit our weaknesses? Nietzsche, despite his pessimism, believed in overcoming, and history shows us that it is possible. Look at post-apartheid South Africa. It was a cauldron of ressentiment, a perfect setting for a cycle of revenge. But under the leadership of Nelson Mandela, the country chose a different path. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission did not deny the pain or the desire for vengeance. It acknowledged it, listened to it, and channeled it toward healing, not retribution. Look at Iceland after the 2008 financial crisis. Feeling betrayed by a corrupt elite, the citizens did not seek an authoritarian savior. They themselves became the force for change, surrounding parliament, forcing resignations, and rewriting their constitution. What do these examples teach us? That the way out is not to deny our dark instincts, but to face them head-on. Resistance begins with self-awareness. It begins with the question, why am I supporting this person? Is it for their merits and plans, or because they satisfy my desire for power, my thirst for revenge, my need to belong, or my fear of responsibility? Nietzsche challenges us to become who we are, to take responsibility for our impulses, to transform our will to power into not the worship of a leader, but into mastery over ourselves. In the end, the worship of corrupt leaders says very little about them and everything about us. They are just mirrors reflecting the parts of our own psychology we'd rather not see. They exist because our will to power is frustrated. They thrive because our ressentiment seeks a target. They lead us because we are afraid to lead ourselves. The leader you admire or despise is not the end point of the analysis. It is the starting point. He is not a reflection of the state of the world. He is a reflection of you. My question for you is, which of these psychological forces, the will to power, ressentiment, the herd instinct, do you see most at work in the world today? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Let's use this space not to accuse, but to understand. And if this video forced you to gaze into the abyss, share it with someone who isn't afraid to do the same. And subscribe for more journeys into the coded philosophy of our reality. Until next time, and remember, the most dangerous power we give any leader is the power to go unquestioned.